Captain.
Hey, how are you?
All right, wait a minute. I've got to bring in Studio A again. There we go. Adding to the group call. And, there we go. And here we are. We're back online. We're online with Captain. Sir. You shouldn't be, sir. It's bad news if you're sir.
The last couple of weeks, so we haven't had a chance to chat.
No. I've been a bit ill.
That you maybe walked away from radio for a while.
No, I've been a bit ill. I've had a gallbladder situation, gallstone. And it's awful. So it's been really shit.
I know how painful those are. They say that's the worst thing. It's like men giving birth. That's the only way to explain that kind of pain.
It is horrible. Lady Rebecca sends her love.
Hi, Bex.
She's she'll be tuning in on the radio on the other in her room in a second. So
okay.
So how's things in Camp Cupcake?
Well, it's you say that and it makes fun of how absolutely horrible this experience is. It's been very interesting since I've been. I wanted to say thank you to my friend Elizabeth who sent me the New Testament by Farrar Fenton. Farrar Fenton is one of the best translations of the New Testament in modern English that's out there, and I've been reading this, and everything that I'm reading is Jesus fighting the lawyers. He fights the lawyers who are the Pharisees. He fights the bankers. He fights the tax farmers, as they call them. So these were all the people that were allied against Jesus in this whole thing. So it's just very interesting that every day I throw myself upon the mercy of the throne of God to say these injustices just can't stand, and there's got to be some kind of redemption for this. But let me remind people a lot of things happening in the news today, and just remind people about the prophecies and predictions. Now I'll get the blog out to you probably later today, and you can post it. Carrie Cassidy has also been saying that I'm going to start doing some stuff on her show, and she's going to put up a page on her website to post the blog. This blog is called "A Prisoner in a Prison in a Prison in a Prison." But let's review a couple of interesting things going on here. First off, I want to talk about the Kilauea volcano. Now, I've actually flown in a helicopter over the lava flows of that volcano, and they built a city. I mean, they actually built a town right on top of where the lava flows into the ocean. And as I said, when Melissa and I were in Hawaii, we flew over an actual active lava flow there at Kilauea, and actually felt the heat coming up and rocking the helicopter back and forth from that. But I cannot believe that these people had all this new land that they built this town on, and now of course the lava is like flowing right into this town, and evacuating a lot of people. Let me also say, if you guys could say some prayers for Melissa, she really needs your help, because she once again, I don't know what to say. I feel bad. I want to kiss the boo-boo and make it better, but she was wrestling with a floor buffing machine and actually broke her toe. So here she was so happy that she was getting in shape, and she was walking, and she was doing all these wonderful things, and she dropped a lot of weight, and now she's laid up with a broken toe, which means she can't work, which means she can't make money, which means that anybody over there that can help Melissa. It's very easy to do through Western Union to send her anything, $20, $30, $40, $50. You have no idea how far that goes. It allows her to use her email and actually get food from the commissary. Her number again is 730-56112. It's 730-56112, and all they have to do is Melissa Morton, Western Union, and through the Board of Prisons or Bureau of Prisons. I'm sorry. And they can help Melissa out. Me too. We might need some help in the next couple of months. Actually, just paying for
This call is from a federal prison.
Because if we can't pay for our storage unit, then everything that we own will be gone. Anyway, so I just wanted to go through probably the biggest one of my predictions that I was saying that if you remember, not only did I talk about the earthquakes in Los Angeles, which then happened. Not only did I talk about the biggest thing I talked about was to watch for major scandals in the Catholic Church in the middle of May. Now, I picked the 13th, which is about when that happened, but a couple of fascinating things are going on. First off, They've actually elected another head of the Knights of Malta, and if people remember, Francis fired the last head of the Knights of Malta, which is the first time that had happened in 732 years. So this new head of the Knights, and remember, they run the Jesuits, who are basically like the police force for the Catholic Church, and they've got it in for Francis. But one of the biggest scandals to ever rock the Church just happened, because all 34 bishops in Chile have now tendered their resignations in the wake of another pedophile priest scandal in which high-level officials covered up the institutionalized sexual abuse of minors, even threatening officials tasked with instigating sex crimes and the destruction of evidence. So 31 active bishops and 3 who signed a document with their offers of resignation following an emergency meeting this last week with Francis. Francis can accept the resignations one by one and reject them outright. Now, this follows a 2,300-page Vatican report into the Chilean scandal that was actually leaked last Friday. Interesting enough. Now, this is the report comes from the 18th, but that's right around the 13th date that I was talking about. And in one of the most damning documents from the Vatican on the issue, Francis said the entire Chilean church, and remember, this covers most of South America as well, he said the entire hierarchy collectively is responsible for what he calls grave defects in handling cases and the resulting loss of credibility that the Catholic Church has suffered. Quote, no one can exempt themselves and place the problem on the shoulders of others, Francis wrote. And responding to the 2,300-page report, Chilean bishops called the contents of the document absolutely deplorable and showed an unacceptable abuse of power and conscience. And the bishops asked for forgiveness from the victims, the Pope and all the Catholics worldwide. Of course, these guys should be hung from a tree and lit on fire. But it's just it's just completely crazy because as I said, this is one of the biggest scandals in the history of the Church, and the report has not yet been made public. But Francis cited core findings in the footnotes of the document he handed over to the bishops. He also said that these same sex offenders were then welcomed into other archdioceses in an obviously imprudent way, and given diocese or parish jobs that gave them daily contact with minors. So the big thing with this is, I mean, even Pope Benedict, he ordered an investigation into the Irish seminaries after he convened the entire Irish Bishops' Conference for a similar dressing down back in 2010 over their dismal abuse. Now, the biggest thing also is that in the United States, where they dump all these priests, is they dump them in Arizona, specifically Pima County around here, and they dump them in New Mexico, thinking that all of these parishioners don't speak English well enough to be able to actually defend themselves. So anyway, so that's that. Also, you've also seen the Inspector General's report that's about to be released, and I've said this for months now, that the Inspector General report is going to truly start cleaning out the deep state, and I think we're days, maybe weeks away from Trump actually declassifying everything, and finally getting up on his hind legs. And the fact that all this corruption has happened inside the Department of Justice, and again, to people like myself and people like my wife, and you have no idea the amount of corruption that these people are capable of. And I can't really say anything about the case. I can't really say anything about that because I was put in here to be a deterrent and an example to anyone that interferes with the voluntary income tax structure of the United States, which is ridiculous, but I can't really talk about it. But just the fact that they're now, with a straight face, saying, oh, yeah, all this corruption inside the DOJ, the DOJ is going to investigate it. The DOJ is going to get to the bottom of it, and the DOJ is going to be responsible for flushing its own toilet, so to speak. So, so if you look at the, I'm basically batting 1,000 on the various predictions. There'll be more coming out in the blog that I'm talking about, but it just has to do with my being, just in here. I mean, you have no distractions really, and being so clear. It's also odd too that I had this eye surgery, and so I'm completely blind out of my right eye. It's just all sort of black with flashes of bright psychedelic colors, sort of like being in a discotheque in Compton. But it's just weird that my psychic impressions and my powers have increased like tenfold with this eye surgery, where now I can't see out of this eye, and I'm just reminded of All-Father Odin hanging on the Yggdrasil tree for 9 days, and the 2 ravens plucking out his right eye, which gave him not only the ability to see through the eyes of the ravens, but supposedly gave the gift of prophecy. And now even Thor, I guess since Odin's dead now Thor doesn't have a right eye either. So it's It's very All Father Odin-y in here, and so there's that. So I continue to just pray for my wife Melissa. I continue to read the New Testament and just watch Jesus, who really does kick ass. I mean, it would be so great to do like a 12-episode miniseries.
This call is from a federal prison.
And show what a sort of a badass superhero Jesus is. But, every time he's going up against somebody, it was the Pharisees, it was the lawyers and the tax collectors that were the ones that tried to destroy him and tried to destroy the truth they're talking about. So I completely empathize. How about you? What's any questions? What's
well, I mean, it's just always very good to hear from you, Sean. What's with you? Like, we're watching the cabal slowly dissolve. Alex is keeping us up to date on a lot of these things. The cabals dissolve and the. That's
Alex
right.
Collier?
Yeah. In his bi-weekly webinars we've been doing with him.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, Alex is great. Tell him I said hello. And yes, you are seeing. Finally, it's very interesting to watch the deep state squirm. And to see the investigative reporting that's been ignored by people like Sean Hannity and a lot of these people on Fox into what's going on, I'm just not sure why. It's just very strange to me why Trump hasn't done more about it. I mean, he could just tomorrow declassify all these documents and fire a lot of the people that are involved in this. But I think Trump's playing rope-a-dope. I think that his whole thing is I think he sort of enjoys being picked on. Because it hasn't changed the opinions of his supporters at all, and I think it's interesting that they just had a poll come out today. This was a CNN poll, and boy, they really must have had to bite the bullet on this one, because it says 68% of people are now saying the economy is better because of Trump. So when all these other people were saying, oh, it's going to be Armageddon and we're all going to be destroyed, and all these horrible things are going to go on, and yet. My predictions for what Trump was going to do to the economy and what Trump was going to help the country with are dead on. So, not only a year in advance that I predicted he would be president of the United States, not only did I say the night before the election that he would win, myself, Mr. Rowe too, agreeing with me, but that he was going to cause a fantastic renaissance in the country. So it's just interesting to see how all these deep state guys are lying against him. And by the way, nobody thought Trump was a misogynist or a racist or any of these things until he started running against Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. I also think it's interesting too that John McCain put a photograph of himself up today, and very strangely enough, I mean, he is suffering from brain cancer, and yet he's wearing an ankle boot. So there were people that were theorizing that both he and Hillary when they're photographed, are wearing these weird ankle boots that some people say is actually covering up a tracking bracelet, for these people not to
absolutely
not to or leave the country. Let me see what else do I have in my meditations here. I'm feeling a massive change coming, a huge shift in what's going on. It really is the apocalypse. The best way for me to describe that is that we're at the end of the occult age. These people can't hide anymore, even behind the massive media monster that they've created. When you look at and I've said this over and over and over again, that you have 25,000 different forms of media in the United States, and all of them are controlled by a grand total of maybe 6 people. Now, are you still on? Is Revolution Radio still even going?
Yeah, we're still running. It's all just about happening. I just want to say that, I think it should. All right, so it's great to hear from you. I want to see Huma Abedin give her evidence about Hillary Clinton. That would be a very good one.
Yeah. All right, so if anybody wants to help myself, once again, the number for me in here is 730-55112. That's 730-55112. And you can help contribute through Western Union. And Melissa needs the help. She's 730-56112. And the poor girl, as I said, the poor sweetie broke her toe. And, she's crippled now and laid up and can't even work. Anyway, JP, God bless you. I was so depressed that I couldn't get a hold of you. And so I'll be calling you every week from now on. And check Carrie Cassidy's webpage as well for the blog on the prisoner. Love you,
and
brother.
you. I'll be posting on alternativerealitydisorder.com as well. I'll keeping that going. All right. Okay, God bless you, Sean. Okay. Well, that was our missive from the man inside. And we will now be continuing The Sands of Time.
Looked at the cover sheet with all the disclaimers on what would happen to a person if they divulged any of the information contained in the file. I signed the form and flipped open the cover page. Around 1998, a long-term program to take our country back, but we must work slowly so none of them will know what we were doing. We are using a form of misdirection so we can get all the installations in place and working before they know what we have done. That, coupled with having to pander to a Congress that wants to know where each and every nickel and dime goes, just makes it that much harder for all of us. But the end result will be well worth the effort, I am sure of that. Anderson looked around and saw my ashtray. May I smoke? Of course, it's the one vice I have not given up, but these days I'm leaning more towards a pipe. I'm sorry. I pushed the glass ashtray over to him, and the man pulled a gold case out of his pocket that somehow seemed familiar to me. Do you know when they are planning to have Max's funeral back in Arlington? I thought it would be good to go back and at least see that chapter of my story to a conclusion. I'm sorry, it was held yesterday. It was the president's request for family only. Soviets are all over those things with cameras and microphones. He didn't want to have anyone exposed by their presence at the graveside. Anderson picked a piece of tobacco off the end of his tongue. Were you there? I asked sadly. No, I had to be here, so I was making arrangements for transit to this location. Besides, I did not know him very well. Anderson was just a cold fish, that was all I could imagine. Did anyone tell Admiral Jacobs about his death? I was hoping for a different answer. Again, Dr. Humphrey, I am sorry, sir. Admiral Jacobs died 6 months ago in Florida. I am surprised that you did not know that, Dr. Humphrey. Didn't Max ever say anything about it? He was at his funeral in Orlando. No, he didn't. Listen, did Max report to you directly, I venture to guess? To my office, yes, not always to me. I have 2 assistants, 2 colonels that work directly with me. You will meet both of them in the next month or so. Why do you ask? Anderson was starting to get the flavor of something rolling around inside my head that needed to come out. What part of the program do those things my hangar bay have to do with? I got up and took off my jacket. I was back in the now and wanted to question this man in detail, since it seemed he had all the answers. Those are artifacts, nothing more. We had them at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but no one could do anything with them. They are just curiosities, mostly. Jacobs lobbied us to have them moved here, and the guys at Wright-Pat wanted the space back inside their hangar. We couldn't put them on display, and we couldn't junk them, so we sent them over here to you. No one actually expected you to work one of them. They're just stored here until we can figure out what to do with them. I have no idea why Matt went with the request to move them here. Seemed like a damn waste of expensive real estate to me. Anderson had completed them in his ledger book. That much was clear. So Max never told you anything at all about those craft? I pushed a little closer to see if there was any response. He told us they were here, delivered to you guys, but what else is there to tell us, Dr. Humphrey? The sarcasm was heavy with the man who thought I was just wasting his time out of spite. Okay, you want to know that I got one of them to work about a week. I sat back and waited. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You got what? The hatch open and closed? What? So what? Anderson didn't seem like someone with much imagination, but I knew that he had to have some, since he worked in the most novel area of science in the history of man. No, I did a little more than that. It is surprising that Max didn't report that to your office. He told me the day he died that he met people off the committee about what he had done the night before with the sport model. I was trolling now, casting out a wide net. I wanted to see the reaction of this comment inside the straight-line world of General Anderson. What did you just say? Max met with someone from the committee? What committee? Anderson demanded. Why, MJ-12, the guys that run this program. He was meeting them when I came back from Indian Wells after the explosion that almost killed my wife and I. I waited holding my breath, hoping that the veneer would crack and some degree of truth would come out. There is no such committee, Doc Humphrey. It was disassembled years ago. All of its functions were taken over by the HSC Steering Committee, which includes the president, some trusted advisors, certain heads of the military, and a half-dozen top scientists in the country. I don't know why he would tell you he was meeting with someone that doesn't have any function. Besides, he should have called my office immediately if you got one of those things to work. Anderson took out another cigarette and seemed more agitated now, which pleased me to no end. I pushed the button on the intercom and waited. Margaret, Mr. Secretary, answered. Margaret, could you come to my office, please? The intercom went dead. And 20 seconds later, she walked in after a brief... General Anderson, this is Max's assistant. I think you've met. I looked at him and he nodded curtly to her as though she was just a minion. Margie, who did Max meet with before all the excitement on the 14th? She flipped her notepad that she always carried with her. Doctors Ubarian and Clickton from Washington. She spoke and looked up. She knew something was afoot since I had a new person at my outer door and that no one was gossiping around the facility. And when secretaries and assistants don't know what's going on, can't prattle about it to one another, then everyone knows that changes are about to occur. Thank you, Margie. That will be all. She nodded and left. I looked at Anderson and watched his jaw getting tighter by degrees, like a screw was being turned at his temple. I imagined that this man would be a real jerk if he had to deal with him on a daily basis. General? That is outside your purview at this time, Dr. Humphrey, Anderson responded. That means, I pushed like a large cat with a mouse, that you know them, but that you don't know why they were here or what Max was doing with them, if I remember my former political lexicon correctly. Which is it? I pushed up hard on him again and ratcheted at that screw. As I said, it is not in your purview. I see. Is that your final answer? Anderson looked at me sideways and nodded suspiciously. Good and fine, I said, merrily slapping my desk. Well, then, I formally offer my resignation to you right now, and I will be done and gone with this bullshit, General. I've had enough of it for a lifetime, and since I seem to be the only guy in the country, or even on this planet for that matter, one of those fucking flying saucers down in that hangar bay to work, and as well, I am not among the elite of your prized and famed half-dozen scientists, bit the word back, drenched in sarcasm as I was now real at his expense, and I was really leaning into it now, then I don't see any reason whatsoever at all to be wasting my time and yours, General, working for someone that thinks things of this magnitude are not, how did you put it, in my purview. You will have my resignation on your desk as fast as I can get it to you. Until then, General, we have nothing else to talk about. Have a great fucking day. Without another word, I got up and walked out of the room, leaving Anderson sitting there grinding his teeth and working his jaw in shock. I took the first left off the corridor and went out via the back door, where I'd parked the motor pool car and drove off the base via the Rachel Road that no one but security forces used, and tore out onto Interstate Highway 375. I was actually humming when I picked up speed on the blacktop heading back to Vegas. I laughed in the car. We will see, won't we?
Okay, so that was the end of chapter 47. We've only got a couple of minutes before the end of the hour, and so I'll read out Sean's details. So if you want to send him some money, and that money means that he make calls into the station, so if you want to support that end of things, you can send to Sean Morton, number 730-55112. P.O. Box 24549, Tucson, Arizona, 85734. I'll repeat that. Sean Morton, number 730-55112, P.O. Box 24549, Tucson, Arizona, 85734. For Melissa, which will get her some decent food and some meds and, toe repairing, please send healing for her toes. Number 730-56112, P.O. Box 5300, Adelanto, California, 92301. You can do Western Union Pay to the Federal BOP and Sean or Melissa. And they say, seriously, in here, only $20, $30, $50 is the difference between life and death, especially for Melissa, who I literally fear will die in here. We'll be back in about 5 minutes' time. Please stand by.